Being vegan is a very controversial thing these days. So, this is either going to be my most watched podcast or my least watched. Let's find out. Welcome to the w.a.v.e. Wellness Podcast. I'm your witchy, autistic, vegan, NB host, Lauren McNabb, the Green Mage. Together, we'll explore wellness beyond the mainstream, guided by the lens of intersectional feminism. Get ready for a magical journey. Let's dive in. Hey guys, Lauren McNabb here. I'm wearing my Vegan for the Animals shirt today because today's podcast is about veganism and why I went vegan. So, the V in w.a.v.e. Wellness stands for vegan. And out of the four identities, witchy, autistic, vegan, and NB, I'd say vegan's probably number two in importance and how it affects my daily life. Autism is definitely number one because that is just my entire personality and experience. And being vegan affects what I eat, which is a pretty big part of my day. It goes a little bit beyond that as well, but mostly it's what I eat. And being a vegan family, and all of us working from home, we have every single meal, not necessarily together, but at home and around the same time. So, yeah, let's jump into it. What's everyone drinking? Do you have your water? Make sure you're hydrated. It is getting warmer outside already. It is February 12th, 2 days before Valentine's Day. So Friday, I'm going to be doing chair massage at a drag show. Well, it's before the drag show, technically. It's during the live bands and the other things going on. So that'll be interesting. It's been a while since I've done a vendor show, so I am looking forward to it. I know some of the other vendors. I've heard of some of the other vendors, and I'm looking forward to meeting them. And my husband is going with me as well. So that's like our fun little Valentine's date night. We are both sponsors. Lauren McNabb, Green Mage Wellness, and McNabb Micro Farm are sponsors for the show. So we got free tickets to go. I'm excited about that. I'm drinking some hot water as per usual with a little powdered ginger and a little lemon in it. My son is a little under the weather this week, and I don't want to get sick. He's just a little stuffy. I think he's just a cold. Flu is going around right now, though. So luckily, him and I got our flu shots back in October because flu's going around pretty bad right now. So stay safe out there, you guys. Stay home or mask up. I'm still masking. How about y'all? So I am trying to hold the mic today. If it causes some noise, I apologize. I just want to sit back and be a little bit more comfortable. This mic's not super light or easy to hold. But my husband and I are thinking about getting those really nice little square clip-on mics so we can look like real influencers. So if y'all have recommendations for mics, let me know. But I like holding something. We'll see. So today I want to talk about my journey with veganism from being a vegan as a teenager to now as an adult being mostly whole food plant-based. I guess you would still say vegan. But I would say eat on a good day. I eat 100% whole food plant-based. On an average day, I eat about 80% whole food plant-based. I've definitely gone through the whole journey of being a junk food vegan, falling off the wagon, getting back on being raw vegan. I've kind of been vegan every way that you can. So we'll get into that. I want to talk about kind of the three main reasons that people go vegan, and they do all apply to me in some way. But I want to start with this. it drives me crazy. The vegan jokes drive me crazy. They really do. And I can take a joke. If you want to tease me for being vegan, like, that's fine. There's a lot of things to tease me about. Hello. Listen to the podcast, right? But the joke that I hate is, how do you know someone's vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you. Well, yeah, because a lot of people's love language is feeding people. And I think that's really nice. But if someone offered you a piece of cake, I made some cake, do you want some of my cake? And you just said no, or no, thank you, it's going to hurt their feelings. They're going to feel rejected. Or even if it's something they didn't make, you're out to dinner with a friend and you're eating a salad, they don't think anything of it, and or spaghetti, and they offer you, oh my God, this food is so good, do you want some? Or you're not sharing an appetizer, they're going to think you're being cheap, or they're going to get their feelings hurt, or they'll just feel weird about it. So I think it's really easy just to say, no, I'm vegan, because you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings and you want to give them a legit reason as to why you're not eating their food. So typically, I only tell people I'm vegan if they're offering me food. And unfortunately, I do work my husband's job in the food business, in the food industry and the restaurant industry, and he supplies microgreens to some of the best restaurants in the area, and we can't eat at like 90% of them. And it stinks because we want to support the restaurants that are supporting us, but they have nothing vegan on the menu. And I wish they would ask for our help, because we would love to come up with something vegan. One of the restaurants has. So shout out to Roaming Ronin, the sushi restaurant. They knew we were vegan and said, we want to make a vegan sushi roll and name it after y'all, which was fucking incredible. Do you have a sushi roll named after you? Probably not. Honestly, one of the best things that's happened in our business. One of the coolest things for sure. And they still have it, the McNabb roll. But a lot of the places, they just don't have vegan options. Marty McPie's does. Shout out to Marty McPie's. If you're ever in Corpus, you have to go. It's downtown. It's right on the water. It's downtown at the Best Western. Delicious pizza. The crust is vegan. They carry vegan cheese. I'm trying to get him to carry vegan pepperoni again, because that was super yummy when he had it. But my husband gets the vegan margarita with his micro basil on it. And I'll just do like a build your own veggie. And honestly, their pizza's good even without cheese. And same with Odie's Pizzeria. They don't carry vegan cheese, but their crust is so good. You can just get it with marinara and veggies. Freaking delicious. But again, a lot of these restaurants don't carry vegan options. So that's kind of a problem for us here in Corpus Christi in the Coastal Bend. We're in South Texas. Mexican food, steakhouses, Whataburger. That's what people are about, right? And we have a decent vegan, plant-based community, but there's very few places we can eat. We just lost Zambra's, RIP. They're still doing pop-ups, thank goodness, still baking. But that was one of the most accommodating restaurants we had. Like half their menu was vegan or could be made vegan. They had vegan hot dogs and burgers, but they also had really delicious pasta and like power bowls and pizza. Everything was I mean, I still got the same thing every time, but my husband would get something different. I would try it. So good. So I really hope they're able to reopen. And they know they were one of the only places that really accommodated us. Um, there's a couple other restaurants that have shut down that had a few vegan options, but we used to have a sandwich shop and the owners were vegan, but the menu was not completely vegan because they knew that just wasn't sustainable here. So again, about half the menu was vegan or could be made vegan. Like they had a really good vegan burger, but even then they went out of business and moved up to Austin. You go somewhere like Austin, San Antonio, tons of vegan options. Dallas, I lived in Dallas for a few years. I was vegan at least for 6 months while I was up there, maybe longer. Because like I said, I've kind of gone back and forth. And there was Loving Hut, which was Thai food. And they had like every meat substitute you could think of, like vegan shrimp, soy shrimp, all of it, right? Tofu. I wasn't a big tofu eater then. So I was like, okay, I'll do the vegan chicken, I guess, or whatever I got. But then Spiral Diner, amazing. If you're ever in Dallas, you got to go to Spiral Diner. I think one of the locations closed. There should still be one open. I'm not sure which location. Delicious vegan comfort food, burgers, fries, milkshakes, the BLT. I like, and they make their own burger, and they do an Impossible Burger, and they do a black bean burger. So like you have options. The nachos though, you have to get. I think it's the Nachos Supreme. Huge pile of nachos. Uh, House made vegan cheese, amazing. Anyways, I'm hungry. Can y'all tell? Um, so this shirt is actually from Dallas. This shirt, Vegan for the Animals. Action for Animals is the nonprofit. I assume it is a nonprofit. I got this shirt at the Veg Fest in Dallas, I think in 2016, because my son was born in 2016 in September, and this Veg Fest was like October, November. And so we drove up there, stayed with a friend. Um, but we went to Veg Fest and had some food. There's not always a whole lot of vendors at these festivals. They're usually like candle people, crafts, clothing, a lot of nonprofits and animal sanctuaries and stuff. But you go for the food. Like, let's be for real, we all go for the food. And so that was cool. And I got this shirt mostly because it was purple, which my hair is supposed to be this color purple. It's a little blue. That's okay. We'll pretend it's purple. Um, but I'll be honest, vegan for the animals is not my number one reason for being vegan. I know. I'm sorry. That is the reason I went vegan at first. I do love animals. Obviously, that comes with being autistic, I think. I think that's a requirement. I wanted to be a vet growing up. Um, I I love all animals. I love bugs. I mean, whatever, any animal, I'll love it. Um, if I die petting a bear, I die petting a bear or hugging a shark. Like, God, I want to go shark diving so bad. Is that vegan? Or is that animal exploitation? We'll talk about that. So, the number one reason people go vegan, I think, like the people that really go for it and stick with it, is for the animals. I talked a little bit about this in the intro episode. I did originally go vegan for the animals because I think it was PETA. Because this was before that other group. Is it Action for Animals? There's a different one I'm thinking of because they have a local chapter. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name right now. But PETA was there. PETA was at Warp Tour. Perfect, right? And at the time, a few celebrities were vegan, like Moby is a really well-known vegan. I thought, wow, that's cool. That's so like, that's high level. Like, I don't know what I thought. I just thought like, wow, like that's really cool. Like that's like, I felt like it was unobtainable. I felt like it was very like new agey. Like I couldn't wrap my head around it. I just thought like, wow, that's extreme, but like in a good way. Wasn't judgmental. I just thought I couldn't, but good for him. And Demi Moore, I had heard was raw vegan, and she looks incredible. Still looks incredible. I don't know if she's still raw vegan, but man, she still looks amazing. But like at the time, this was like Charlie's Angels, right? Like that Demi Moore, hot, still hot, but you know what I mean. And I am a 90s aughts teenager, so body image issues out the wazoo, obviously. I would see these celebrities go vegan and look amazing, and I'm like, maybe I should do that, right? And I'm like, maybe that would be the best thing I can do besides take another box of laxatives, right? Eating disorder, fun. But going to the PETA booth, right? Because you're walking around between bands at Warp Tour, waiting for the headliners to come on. And I stopped at the PETA booth, and they have all their literature, and they have like a little slideshow for you to watch. How did they do that? Did they have like a laptop, an old TV? I don't know. I distinctly remember there being some kind of video. Websites were very new. This was probably 2002, 2003, right? So over 20 years ago. Yikes. And they give you their brochures, and they talk to you, and what's PETA's whole thing is like animals, right? And animal exploitation, and but they talk about animal rights and how the animals are being abused. Animal abuse, I guess, is the best word for it. And they show you the pigs, and don't you know pigs are as smart as a 3-year-old, and they're being tortured. And I was just like, yeah, like, I haven't thought about it, but yeah, like, I always knew where food came from because my grandparents kind of had a farm growing up. I mean, it wasn't like a full blown farm. They had chickens, cows, sheep. They just We ate it ourselves. Like, he didn't like go to the farmer's market and sell anything. He would like sell a goat every now and then. Um, but we would eat like the farm fresh eggs and stuff. So like, I always knew where meat and eggs and cheese came from. It took me a while, I would say, as a child to realize that meat was muscle. Like, I never thought about it. I was like, that's what meat is. It's the animal's muscles. And that grosses me out. Like, even I don't know what I thought it was. I don't know if I thought it was like some other part of the animal, but like, when you say meat, you mean muscle. And when you say pork, you mean a pig. And when you say beef, you mean a cow. You're eating cow muscle, not hamburger. It's cow muscle. Ugh. I hope I'm grossing you out if you're still with me. Like I said, either this is going to get a lot of views or not very many views. And it's still a new channel, but I hope eventually it reaches the right people. So, yeah, so that's what kind of drew me into it at first. Was like, oh yeah, like, it was very like social justice warrior of me. It was like, I'm going to stand up for the animals and this isn't right. And, they have their slogans, right? Like, friends, not food, and like, please don't murder me. And like, it's very like propaganda forward. To their credit, it works, especially on young, vulnerable teenagers that need some kind of cause, right? And so I went home, and I think pretty sure my mom was with me. Maybe she dropped us off. I don't remember. I don't remember who I went to work tour with at first. I really think my mom dropped me and a friend off, but I can't remember who. If it was you, let me know. I remember which boyfriend went with me the second time, and I'm pretty sure my mom stayed with us, but I can't remember who I went with the first time. Maybe it was the same guy. I don't know. I don't think so. Anyways. Some long-term memory good, some not so good. But anyways, I'm pretty sure I was talking my mom's ear off the whole 2 hours back home to Corpus from Selma. Right? Is it Selma? That's outside of San Antonio? Is that where Warp Tour was? Doesn't sound right now. It starts with an S. Y'all know what I mean. Where that amphitheater is. Anyways, and so like that home, that day, like, I went home and I was like, that's it. I'm going vegan. My mom's like, okay, you got to go to the store with me because I don't know what you want. And I bought soy milk, and which I'm sure was probably still Silk because they were one of the originals, and it was just plain. And I got Smart Dogs. I think they were. I apologize if they weren't Smart Dogs. They were vegan hot dogs. I don't know if they were tofu dogs, but they were vegan hot dogs. I want to say maybe I got like a vegan cheese, some other meat. Like, that's what I got. I got food so this was mistake number one, right? I was buying food that I was already eating. Now that I've been vegan on and off for 20 years, I know that the first step to being vegan is not to replace everything you're eating with meat substitutes. Do you know why? Because they don't taste the same at all. And it takes a while for your taste to change. So the first thing you should really do is start eating more fruits and vegetables, and then maybe slowly transitioning one thing at a time. But I was an impulsive teenager. I didn't know that. I was all in for the cause. Was having to make myself separate meals because, I was forced to eat dinner with my family every night as a teenager. And the soy milk wasn't very good. It wasn't sweet. It was very liquidy. But I did it, I would say, probably solid for like a week. I'm sure I was very hungry. um, I do want to say I was eating a little bit more, probably at least like bananas and stuff. But the thing that absolutely killed me was those vegan dogs. They were so gross. I boiled them because that's how I always made hot dogs. And they smelled so bad. And by the time I went to take a bite, I could take one bite and could not eat them. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I can't do this after all. And so that ended my first week or so of being vegan. And I felt really bad. I felt really guilty. And that's something you never want to feel with what you're eating or not eating is guilt. I remember that time being like very stressful. I'm autistic. I don't like change. It was a really big change to make all at once. And I'm going to take a minute to plug my vegan course now. So I actually have a How to Go Vegan in 30 Days course. It does focus a little bit more on plant-based eating, but we do go over the different reasons for being vegan, how to read labels, how to take really slow, easy steps to going vegan. I don't recommend doing it overnight. I recommend giving it at least a month and taking these small steps and replacing things a little at a time, taking the time to go through your kitchen, eat the food you have, buy new food to replace it, etc. So I'll put the link to that in the description. If it's only $25. I worked for months on this course and it's only $25, and it's not 30 lessons. It's like 10 lessons broken up for about 3 days at a time with like a lesson, a video, a written lesson, and an activity for you to do. And it'll help you make those small changes to go vegan successfully and sustainably in a really approachable way. So back to being vegan for the animals. I still am. I watched, now this is much later in life. So that was when I was a teenager. So in my late 20s, I did watch Earthlings. That is a really good documentary, free on YouTube. I believe Joaquin Phoenix did that one. And it doesn't just talk about the pigs and the cows, which it does. It talks about the egg industry as well, which was really eye-opening. Do you know what happens to chickens that are boys that cannot lay eggs? They get thrown away. These baby chicks. Maybe you've heard of sexing chicks. That's what it is. They're checking boy or girl. If it's a boy, throw them in the trash. If it's a girl, they get to become egg-laying hens and have a horrible life doing that. So, yeah, egg industry also super bad. I know people think, well, I don't eat animals, I just eat eggs, right? Dairy industry is just as bad. People say, well, I drink milk or I eat cheese. Those animals are abused too. They have their babies stripped away from them, all kinds of things. I'm not here to be preachy. I'm really not. If you want to look into that, watch Earthlings. That's all I'll say. Now, I do know farmers. I know dairy farmers. They locally, shout out to Canali Farms. They treat their cows very well. They keep their cows healthy. They do not abuse them. They pasteurize their milk, which apparently is not in fashion right now, but it should be. And so, yes, smaller farms, especially family-owned farms, are going to treat their animals better. So if you're vegetarian or you're omni, the very least you can do is get your products locally. Ask to see the farm. Ask to see how the animals are treated. Just a thought. But again, I'm not one of those preachy vegans. I see stuff and I'm like, whoa, if you don't want to see that stuff or you see that stuff and you don't care, okay, you have your reasons, I guess. But being vegan for the animals is also called being an ethical vegan. And because it involves, the animal exploitation, but it can also involve like animal labor, using horses for entertainment, your animals for entertainment. It can go to, it talks about clothing. I don't wear leather. Not really my vibe anyways, but I would never intentionally buy something leather. I had to buy cowboy boots for my sister's wedding a few years ago. I definitely made sure it was like man-made leather. It took me a while to figure out what that meant. I was like, well, yeah, don't men make the leather out of the cows. It took me a while to realize, yes, it's vegan leather, which there actually is vegan leather made out of like a cactus or something, which is pretty cool. But again, not my vibe so much. So yeah, so it's food, it's clothing, it's animals as entertainment. I'm sure if I've experienced this, I've noticed this, is you go back and watch old movies and they use live animals and they don't anymore, like almost at all. If you watch the new Nosferatu movie, they did have like a few rat actors, but for the most part, they were CG. And I think that's kind of still the case, is they use animals very sparingly now. Whereas before they would like only use animal actors. So they put a stop to that. I'm sure people were getting hurt. Was it Siegfried or Roy that got hurt? I feel bad for everyone involved in that. But animals, wild animals are not pets, and they don't want to act. They can't give their consent. That's really what it comes down to, is consent. That's just a stupid argument. It's like, well, is breastfeeding vegan? You're breastfeeding. That's milk. That's not vegan. Well, typically, maybe not always historically, when we're talking about breastfeeding, we can get into that in another episode. But typically breastfeeding is a consensual act between, we'll say, a caregiver and a baby. I've donated breast milk when I was breastfeeding because they needed dairy-free milk, and I had some extra because a lot of babies are sensitive to dairy. Maybe because they're not baby cows. And also things like not going to zoos and aquariums. But I will admit, I do go to the local aquarium. Our aquarium here in Corpus Christi, the Texas State Aquarium, is also a rescue center. And it's my belief that they have the aquarium open, one, for education, two, to raise money to do all the rehabilitation that they do. I mean, yes, they have corporate sponsors and things like that. But they do a lot of good. They do a lot of like rehabilitation and release. And they only have like native species here. It's not like they're, getting tropical species from across the world just to show. It's all about education of the local ecosystem. And again, they use because I'll see animals coming in and out. There's birds there that got hit by propellers and things like that. And there's things that they can't release back in the wild. I don't really know what's going on with the dolphins. There's 4 dolphins that live there now. I really don't like to watch the dolphin show. I will go downstairs between shows and send the dolphins Reiki and just kind of chat with them and keep them company because I'm sure they're bored. But yes, I do go to the aquarium. And yes, I've had other vegans tell me you shouldn't go to the aquarium. You're supporting animal exploitation. But in my opinion, it is a good cause to support because of all the good work that they do. And I know a lot of people that work for the aquarium, kind of on the front end side and the back end side, and they really love working there and they really care about the animals there. So I've been to some pretty shady zoos and aquariums, and it's not the same vibe. So drop a comment if you've ever been to the Texas State Aquarium in Corpus. That's where I live. Maybe you'll see me there. So that's why I went vegan to begin with, was for the animals. But it wasn't a compelling enough reason to stick with it. I hate to say that. But this was the time before social media, before I really had a community. It was kind of just me by myself trying to be vegan for the animals. And when you're not seeing it constantly and you don't have that community support, it can be really hard. And also just when you're a teenager, when there's not a lot of vegan options. So a lot of obstacles there. But later in life, I went vegan again. And like I said, I watched Earthlings, and that was kind of like it was like a reminder almost. It was like hey, remember why you were doing this? But the reason I was going vegan again at that time was actually for my health. And I say health, but it was really for vanity. I was overweight and had acne. I still have it a little bit. I mean, I just have acne prone skin, period. but my acne was really bad. And at the time, I had an acquaintance that was also vegan, I think, for her health. I don't really remember her talking about animals too much. I really remember her talking about her health issues and how it healed her body. She was having, I think, probably PCOS or endometriosis or something. Depression. I remember her saying it helped with her depression because, this is a girl I graduated with. So same body image issues, same timeline, not in the same friend group. She was actually like really popular and a cheerleader and really skinny. But, hearing that she struggled with the same things was interesting and eye opening. And it just made her struggles like really relatable, made her more relatable. And she was, I think, raw vegan. Like she was very thin. It probably still is, but she was just naturally thin. And so I did want to lose weight. I really started to gain weight after college. I was always naturally pretty thin. Like I would say in high school I was 115 to 120. Not eating a whole lot though, so that probably had a lot to do with it. And my parents are both naturally thin as well, especially as teenagers. My dad was very, very thin. Lean, I should say. He's not you wouldn't say he was skinny, but he was lean. And my mom's still very lean herself. And I had gained weight from the drinking, and I always had acne. I had acne starting in middle school. But again, it was probably my diet. So I guess I finally figured out that, hey, maybe it's my diet making me break out. And I'm lactose intolerant. I think that was I was like, oh, I'm lactose intolerant, so I'm going to cut out dairy. But I really wanted to clear my skin. And so that's when YouTube was a little bit more popular. So this was around, yeah, about 2013, I would say. So YouTube was popping, lots of vegan influencers. Do y'all remember Freely, the banana girl? Is she still around? I don't know, but that's who I followed. She's raw vegan, 30 bananas a day, that kind of thing. And I had gone through some other diets around that time. I did paleo because I was doing CrossFit. I was influenced. I am sorry. That's me apologizing to my past self because that was a weird time. Like throwing away all the beans. Oh, I didn't throw them away. I gave them to my sister. But like getting rid of all the beans and the pasta in my house, two of my favorite foods. It didn't, the pasta I can understand, but it didn't feel right getting rid of the beans. And I was eating a lot of chicken. Toxic. I know that now. My ex that I was with at the time had gained a lot of weight because of his medications, and he didn't want to go vegan. Like this was just me. But I I went I'm trying to remember because this was 10 years ago. So I can't really remember, but I'm pretty sure I went raw vegan or as close to raw vegan as I could, right? Like raw till 4. That was Freely's thing. So I was doing like the 30 bananas a day. Like I would have literally 10 bananas for breakfast every day. I did this for months. So I was eating a lot of fruit. And I don't really remember what else I was eating. I mean, it had to have been like rice, pasta. I don't remember it lasting very long, but I do specifically remember it being to clear my skin. Now, I was a dental hygienist at the time, so I did have a mask on every day. So that was kind of part of why I was breaking out. I had like no skincare routine. I'm sure I was just using whatever like Neutrogena soap I had always used. No one taught me skincare, right? I'm still figuring that out. But I specifically remember going vegan because I wanted to lose weight and I wanted to clear my skin. And so when people ask me, why are you vegan? I would say for vanity. And that was true. And so I guess I would put that under health, right? They were health reasons. Now, diabetes runs in my family, breast cancer runs in my family, high cholesterol runs in my family. So there are a lot of reasons for me to go vegan for my health, which is more why I'm vegan slash plant-based now. So let's get into that, right? Because I've had friends tell me I went vegan and I gained weight. So I couldn't do it anymore. Well, that's because they were replacing what they were already eating. They were already eating burgers and they replaced them with vegan burgers. Which vegan burgers, because they're made out of plants, they need a little bit more fat to taste good, right? So they're full of coconut oil. And coconut oil is LDL. It's kind of one of the, I don't want to say bad fat because it's not bad. You just don't need as much, right? And it is very fattening. So there's kind of an argument where it's like, does fat make you fat? It's not that fat makes you fat. It's that all fats, I'm talking about seed. Yes, I eat seed oils. Oh my God. Seed oils, coconut oil, all of that. Fat, like oil, is really high in calories and really low in nutrients. So you need fats in your diet. But they're just high calorie, low nutrient. So you don't need that much. And vegan junk food, vegan processed food, whatever you want to call it, does have a lot of fat in it. And it does have nutrients. It still has the protein and stuff, but it is typically really high in fat. So yeah, if you're switching from ice cream to vegan ice cream, and the thing is people are probably thinking, well, it's vegan, so it's healthy, so I can eat more. And I think they're being a little too relaxed with these vegan diets and going a little ham on the Oreos. I know I used to. I am still an Oreo addict, and I've had to just stop buying them because of the palm oil. Because palm oil is another LDL. So it's a saturated fat. I always get the two confused. But I know it's an LDL cholesterol. I know it's solid at room temperature, not great for your health, bad for the environment, all those things. So I just don't buy Oreos anymore, period, because I will eat them all. Anyways, so yeah, I've had friends say I went vegan and I gained weight, so I didn't want to do it anymore because they were going vegan to lose weight. You can't go vegan to lose weight. You need to go whole food plant-based. Period. There it is. If you go whole food plant-based, you can eat as much as you want and lose weight. Which kind of brings me to the second reason that I went vegan for my health, even my family's health issues aside, is I have an eating disorder. I have had bulimia in the past, but what I have now, I believe, is called binge eating disorder. Because that's the thing is bulimia is binging and purging. I would binge, but I wouldn't always purge. I would binge and then I would feel really shitty about myself. I would binge and I would be sick to my stomach. I would binge and I would hate myself. But I wouldn't always purge, or I would try to and I couldn't. And so yes, that's called binge eating disorder. And I know that now. It's a new thing. I'm not sure. And I do think it's associated with ADHD as well. You're craving that dopamine. It's more the dopamine that you're craving than the chocolate, you know? And in order to it didn't cure my eating disorder. It gave me a way to not change my behavior, but to stop the negative consequences. So I went vegan because the thing with being raw vegan, plant-based vegan, basically you can eat as much as you want in fruits and vegetables and grains and legumes and a little bit of the nuts and seeds, but mostly the fruits and vegetables. You can eat as much fruits and vegetables as you want and stuff yourself silly, and you're still not going to gain weight. You're probably going to lose weight, and I have. I don't know how much I weighed at my heaviest, to be honest, because I stopped weighing myself. But it had to have been close to 200 pounds, and I'm 5'4", and I was miserable, and I didn't feel good, and I had poor energy, and I had really bad depression, and my skin looked horrible, sleep issues. I was drinking coffee to get through the day, just kind of all the typical unhealthy things that you feel when you're not healthy. And on top of that, I had an eating disorder. So, and the thing with the eating disorder, the biggest negative consequence was the guilt that I felt. I felt guilty for eating that much. I felt guilty for eating animal products. Kind of some of those ethical reasons were coming back. And going vegan, took care of both of those things. I could eat as much as I want and not feel guilty. Is that the healthiest reason to go vegan? I don't know. Probably not. I should probably talk to a therapist about it. But it's the truth. It's my truth. And it honestly has helped a lot. Because like I said, the biggest issue with the binge eating was the guilt. And then the feeling of like, oh my God, now I'm gonna gain more weight, and just constantly thinking about my weight and my body, and just that ugly feeling of feeling too full. Now, don't get me wrong. There are still times that I eat until I'm too full, but it goes away a lot more quickly when it's plant food. And like I said, on my best days, I'm 100% whole food plant based, but most days I'm about 80% whole food plant based. I'll still eat a vegan cake. I'll still eat too much vegan cake. I'll, you know, get stuffed on rice and veggies sometimes. But the guilt is not there, right? The sugar, the sugar gets me. So which is why I'm going more plant-based now. Because the sugar will keep me up at night. It will make me break out. I'll get patches of eczema, that kind of thing. So I do try to eat as whole food as possible to avoid that. Now, being vegan most recently started when my son was breastfeeding. I was vegan before my pregnancy, but then during my pregnancy, my baby daddy's mom was like, I am a nutritionist and you can't get complete proteins on a plant-based diet and it's not healthy. So I had her in my ear, and I honestly should have just like done more research and stood up for myself. But yeah, like she was in my ear constantly about, you're not going to get enough nutrition. You need to eat more. And I was also working at the airport at the time, and there weren't a lot of vegan options. So it was just a combination of things that made me finally say, like, okay, I need to start eating meat again. And I felt really bad. The signs were there that I shouldn't have done it. I've always been really bad about listening to my gut. And maybe that's an autism thing too, where your intuition's telling you one thing, but everyone else is telling you something different. And well, everyone else must be right. So my ex and I go to Cheesecake Factory. I feel like we were celebrating something. I don't remember what, but I was at least a few weeks into the pregnancy. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get the chicken teriyaki, I guess. I guess I'm going to start eating meat again. And we sit down, and at the table next to us is a little girl and like her mom or grandma or something. And the little girl tells the waiter, I'm vegetarian. And I so wanted to be like, I'm vegetarian too, but I had just ordered chicken teriyaki. So immediately I'm already feeling like this isn't right. Like I want to be able to say I'm vegan. Like I want to be able to tell this little girl, like, good job, you're doing the right thing. But I had already ordered the stupid chicken teriyaki. And because I've had it from Cheesecake Factory before and it was good. And it's not like I was even craving it. I wasn't craving meat. I wasn't craving cheese. I had just gotten kind of talked into eating meat again. And it comes out and it's gross. Like you could see the ribs on the bottom. It was a whole like half a freaking chicken. It wasn't like a nice little chicken breast or cut up. No, there were bones in it. I was so grossed out. I was like, I don't even want to eat this. But again, I was like, I'm not going to send it back. Like I was like embarrassed, but I was also like just fighting with my own intuition. Like, no, like I need it. I need the meat. The baby needs the meat. The baby did not need that damn chicken teriyaki. Okay. So I ate most of it. I didn't feel good about it. Didn't feel good afterwards. But working at the airport, like I said, very few vegan options. I would bring an apple and peanut butter, like as a snack every day. I don't remember what I was eating for breakfast at the time. Probably smoothies. I was having to get up at like 3 a.m. to be at the airport by 5, to open by 6. So not super healthy habits there either. But at the airport, all they had was like Starbucks and McDonald's and Popeyes and a pizza place. And the only vegan options they had were fruit cups. I would eat bagels. I would eat a lot of bagels too. The Einstein Brothers bagels. I would get, I want to say I would get a BLT maybe. At least like a plain, or at least like an everything bagel with some plain cream cheese. I would eat that a lot too. So I didn't really feel good about eating meat, but I did it. I think I ate at McDonald's twice in my pregnancy and it upset my stomach so freaking bad. I ate barbecue a couple times. That's the one thing I miss as a vegan, to be honest, is barbecue, is brisket. I am all for that lab grown meat. Bring on the lab grown barbecue, please. Y'all are wondering who that's for? It's for me. I would eat that. It'll probably upset my stomach and I'll never eat it again, but like give it to me once, all right? Anyways, ate barbecue like twice during my pregnancy, gave me killer heartburn, which is why my son only had like 2/3 of his hair when he was born. He looked like a little monk. He just had hair on the outside, nothing on top. I should have had barbecue one more time. I would eat a lot of Jason's Deli. Had salads all the time. Or Eatsies in Dallas, amazing. Slotchke's Deli. I'll get the little pizzas. Love their little pizzas. Can't have those anymore either. So yeah, I was not healthy in general. Gained a lot of weight. I did not gain weight early in my pregnancy because my baby daddy left me and I was so stressed and I wasn't eating. And like once I got over the heartbreak, I gained weight, a lot of weight, super quick. Like scary, too much weight. To the point I was worried about diabetes because I was having a s'mores frap from Starbucks like almost every day at the airport. Not great. Don't recommend it. I worry about my son's health now because I was so not vegan and not exercising. I had a physical job. I was doing chair massage at the airport. So I was active. Shit diet though. Really, really bad. Um, and and then after I had him, he was breastfeeding, but I noticed he was sensitive to me drinking milk because I would snack on some cereal before bed and drink some milk. I would breastfeed and he would get really gassy and uncomfortable. And I was like, okay, I gotta go vegan again. I gotta cut out the meat, and the dairy and everything. And I did. And there were other times I went vegan too. Like I remember, I remember kind of what triggered going vegan. One of the two times I already talked about was I came down to Corpus for 4th of July when I was living in Dallas. And I was watching the Nathan's hot dog eating contest on TV. And my mom had made burgers. And my mom buys like the leanest meat possible. So I'm eating this little like dry ass, unflavored, unseasoned burger, watching grown men scarf down hot dogs. And I was like, you know what? I think meat's not for me. I think me and meat need to see other people right now. It was disgusting. And I was like, no, it still grosses me out to think about. So that's what like triggered me going vegan again. One of these times, or maybe a separate time. Like I said, I've been vegan on and off for the past 20 years. And I was just never able to stick with it, typically because my partner wasn't vegan. Um, my work environment wasn't conducive to that. I always had coworkers going out to eat, or I was working in a place where I didn't have access to that kind of food. I didn't have time to prep for myself. I didn't have money for the right kind of groceries. It was kind of like my intentions were always there, but then the support and everything else I needed wasn't, along with kind of just not knowing what to eat, which is another good reason to take my course. um, and so when I met my now husband, like one of the first things he said to me, because it said on my profile I was vegan. And I had a friend tell me, don't put that because you're going to scare people off. And I was like, that's kind of the point. Um, but one of the first things my husband said was, oh, I'm actually transitioning to a plant-based diet. And I was like, oh, like I can help you with that. I thought it was so cool. I was like, really? And his coworkers, his bosses are vegan or were vegan. The place they are vegan, but he doesn't work there anymore. And yeah, they're actually a couple of the organizers for Veg Fest here in Corpus. So they're ethical vegans. So he wasn't just hitting on me. He really was going vegan when we got together. And it was not plant-based, it was vegan. Because remember, there's a difference. And we were just junk food vegans together. Because let's see, my son was it was under 6 months, like a few months old when I went vegan again. And then my husband and I got together when our son was like 1.5, like almost 2. So I had been vegan again for almost a year, or over a year, I guess. But junk food vegan, right? And probably not even 100% vegan. I feel like I was eating a lot of breakfast tacos, and stuff like that. But I would say mostly vegan. But when my husband and I got together, we were junk food vegans, man. We were going to Whataburger and getting hash brown burgers, which are good, but a lot of really greasy. Um, he was traveling for work, and that made it really hard because he would stay in hotels, and he literally had his griddle stolen by the hotel because they're like, you can't cook in here. So they just went in and took his griddle. And yeah, and we would go out to eat a lot, and get like vegan egg rolls and vegan stir fry, which may have not even been vegan. They were probably cooking it in butter. We kind of weren't really strict with it, right? Like we said we were vegan, but again, we're eating like a lot of breakfast tacos and taco bowls and things like that. Like we would never intentionally get stuff that wasn't vegan. Like we wouldn't like order cheese pizza or anything. But if we're like, yeah, it's mostly plant-based, we were pretty good with that. So if you look at pictures of us when we first got together, we were both very skinny. I was running every day. Like I did beach to bay right before we met. I was taking a lot of supplements, including some fat burners and things like that. So I was very, very skinny, but my skin looked really bad. My eyes were puffy. I was really broken out. Like I would not, like, I'm not wearing makeup right now at all. Like I got out of the shower right before this, put a little oil on, good to go. But when me and my husband first got together, like I did not want him to see me without makeup ever. Like literally I would wake up and like put powder on, right? Like I was so embarrassed about my skin. And I was wearing a lot of makeup too, which probably had something to do with it on top of the greasy food I was eating. I was wearing a lot of makeup because I was working with estheticians and that was just the vibe. And he was really skinny too, but you can tell too, he has that inflammation in his face. His like eyes were always kind of puffy. We just didn't look as healthy as we do now. And that's, I guess, why they say like vegans age in reverse. When you actually start eating health food, not vegan junk food, it does increase things, like collagen production and things like that. And so we've gone from being junk food vegans to being pretty healthy vegans. My husband still has a soda every now and then. I do, even less. Actually, when we got our blood work done last year, surprisingly, his cholesterol was just slightly elevated, like one number below elevated. Like it was still in the normal range, but at the high end of the normal range. And then same with his blood sugar too. And so that just might be genetic for him. So like we've cut out the ice cream, anything that has like palm oil, coconut oil in it, they've cut out for him. We switched from white rice to brown rice, which sucks because I am Asian and I love my white rice and it wasn't affecting me. My blood work was perfect. But for his sake, we've stopped eating white rice. Um, because when you're whole food plant-based, you're lowering your risk for heart disease, you're lowering your cholesterol, you are lowering your blood pressure, lowering your risk in your blood sugar numbers for type 2 diabetes, and it reduces your risk for certain types of cancers. So lots of good reasons to go vegan for your health. But other than that, we're sleeping better, our skin looks better, we have more energy. My depression's pretty much non-existent, even in this literally insane time we're living in. I don't get depressed anymore. Again, a lot of other factors too. I talked about it in the autism episode. Obviously, like my environment's a lot better. I have like a healthy relationship, a healthy set of friends. I have a lot of boundaries set. My work environment is at the least toxic it could possibly be. So a lot of other factors too, of course, but still there's a lot of shit going on in the world. And even like my anxiety really isn't that bad. Like I'm fired up, I'm angry, I get anxious about some things. What I found help is just focusing on one issue. And that issue for me is health and the environment, the things I'm passionate about. As far as health, I'm just kind of making it my job to dispel disinformation, especially with RFK Jr. about to be like the head of, I don't know, whatever they're putting him in charge of. They're putting him in charge of health, which is fucking stupid. I'm going to have a whole episode on that. Dispelling RFK Jr.'s myths. How about that? So that's kind of what I've made it my mission to pay attention to is fighting disinformation as far as like health and disease and things like that. I think it's really stupid to take fluoride out of water when half the country doesn't even have clean drinking water. Like, I really feel like we're missing the forest for the trees here. And then the other thing is the environment. Trump's first term, he rolled back environmental protections, and everyone was like, oh, yay. Like, look, he's helping the fishing industry. Yeah, because he opened protected waters. So that brings me to the other than health, kind of the reason that my husband and I are vegan now is for the environment. My husband grows microgreens. It's an indoor vertical farm. We use solar power. We compost all our leftovers. We try to make it as sustainable as possible. We drive an electric car, which I know is just a band-aid on the issue of poor public transportation and cities that are not walkable and everything spread out. It's a band-aid, but it's something we can do. But, as kids, you heard like, save the rainforest, save the rainforest. Who are we saving the rainforest from exactly? Oh, that's right. The meat industry. They cut down the rainforest to make room for farmland to grow food for the cows. Yeah, they're not even growing food for us. They're not growing wheat for us or corn for us. It's for the damn cows. That's why they're destroying the rainforest, is to make room for your food. Not growing food for people. We could have cut out the middleman. We could cut out the middle moo and just eat the damn vegetables. But no, we have to grow food for your meat so you can eat. Meanwhile, the environment's being destroyed. There goes all our carbon capture. So yeah, like that shit affects us, right? To quote American Psycho, that shit affects us, okay? So that's why I don't eat palm oil, because they're cutting down the orangutans' environment, their home. They are clearing land to grow, grow wheat and corn and soy. A lot of the soy, right? Like 90% of the world's soy is GMO. And I've had people give me shit for drinking soy milk. They're like, GMO soy is ruining the environment. I'm not the one eating the GMO soy. You are. The cows are. That's who's eating it. All the soy I consume is organic. My tofu, my soy milk is organic. That 90% GMO soy is feeding animals. And the GMO corn and the wheat and whatever the hell else they feed them, that kind of farming destroys us. So not only did you cut down the rainforest, now you're destroying the soil. Again, it's destroying the ozone layer because we have no carbon capture. So it is contributing to climate change, to global warming. They call it climate change now because it's a nicer word. It's global warming. And so, yeah, we didn't save the rainforest, you guys. We're still not saving it. They're still destroying it. And then speaking of, the environmental protections for the oceans are overfished. It is full of litter. Most of the litter in the ocean is not just our trash, it's fishing nets. And stuff gets caught in those nets. It's killing the animals. It's probably collecting all the trash that's there. But yeah, fishing nets left in the ocean is a huge issue. I think you can watch Seaspiracy. I believe it's on Netflix, and that talks about that. So yes, that movie is, vegan propaganda as well, but I'm pretty sure that's what that one is about, overfishing in the oceans and things like that. Now, here's something that I will say vegan isn't always the best, especially when it comes to environment, is the shipping of food. So No, it does not have the same impact of deforestation and things like that. But if I'm telling someone, well, you should eat vegan egg, what's better for the environment? Them ordering vegan egg or just egg and it being shipped here from across the country, or buying eggs from their neighbor that has chickens. In that case, the local eggs would be better for the environment. Which again, this is why I'm not a preachy vegan. I am personally am vegan for my health. I'm plant-based for my health. I'm not going to try to change anyone. You can't change people's beliefs. Maybe eventually you can. I mean, my beliefs changed. All you can do is present information, and people will make their own judgments and make their own decisions. And that's fine. That's what you're allowed to do. You're allowed to have your own opinions and interpret facts your own way and apply facts your own way. I can give you fact after fact after fact, and you're going to hear what you want to hear and practice what you want to practice, and that's fine. I feel like people do get a little like, "Oh, you guys are vegan?" And we're like, no, we're not like that. My husband's at the market right now trying to sell his microgreens, and people either love it or they hate it and they think it's, rabbit food, and I don't eat that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, you can put it on your steak, you know. But yeah, when it comes to shipping food, I do think eating locally is most important, whether that is something like meat, dairy, eggs, or it's your vegan food, right? Is it healthier for or better for the environment for me to eat pomegranates that were grown by my neighbor or have a mango shipped in? Not to mention the cost with these tariffs. A little worried about that, to be honest. I think the tariff thing with Mexico is not happening as of right now. Thank goodness, because the price of our produce would have skyrocketed, which it already might, because we deported all the workers. So yeah, that affects us. All of this affects all of us. So I'm going to wrap it up. Those are the reasons I'm vegan, whole food, plant-based. For a while, I was just calling myself plant-based because we were still eating honey, and one of the probiotics I took had like a gelatin capsule. And so I didn't feel right calling myself vegan. I was calling myself plant-based because plant-based does allow for some animal products. But now I am more whole food plant-based, which means like completely vegan, but not processed vegan foods. I know, so many terms, but you can learn about them in my course. And I am a health coach. I'm a health and wellness coach. That's kind of why I'm doing this podcast, is to promote that, to be super honest. And I was thinking I was gonna just help anyone. I was really trying to focus more on neurodivergent people like me. I don't know if that's actually the best niche to help, simply because there are people much more capable than I. There are ADHD and autism and ADHD coaches out there. And yes, I can help people on that part of the spectrum. However, I just don't think I can truly be all in as someone's health coach if they're still eating an omnivorous diet. And it's not because I am judging them. I am actually friends with more omnivores than I am with vegans. There's not a big community of local vegans. But that being said, how can I truly help someone achieve health knowing that the healthiest way to eat is whole food plant-based if they're still on an omnivore diet? And even if they're telling me, oh, well, I want to clean up my diet and I just eat chicken now, but I know how toxic chicken is. It's not my job as a coach to tell people what to do. I can educate them if I ask and they say it's okay. But I think it's going to be a problem if I try to help someone specifically with their diet or their overall health. and they're not willing to at least try to be more plant-based or plant forward even. This is the book I'm reading right now. I'm taking a CE on it, How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. I've read the follow-up, How Not to Diet, which is more for weight loss. But both of the books say the same thing. Whole food plant-based is the way to go. That's how you prevent disease. That's how you reverse disease. And it also talks about all the toxic things in our meat supply and in dairy and in eggs. And, right now we're having diseases come back. There's bird flu going on. There's a measles outbreak. A lot of these communicable diseases started from animals and started from slaughterhouses and started from eating meat. Even certain cancers, not just health wise, but they come from viruses that are found on these meats. So just something to think about, something I'll make another podcast about. But, when it comes to my health coaching, I really think it's going to be best for me to help people be more plant forward. I don't expect everyone to be perfect. I don't expect everyone to, go vegan right away. I'm not perfect. It took me a long time even just to get to this point. But I just think that ethically, and not for the animals, but just for my own ethics and morals, I won't be able to help someone if I can't give them the whole truth and let them make their own decision. And that's what it comes down to, is informed consent. And the food industry and the lobbyists don't want us making informed decisions. The science is there that whole foods are the way to go. Plant-based foods are the way to go when it comes to your optimal health. However, they don't think we can do it. And that's why they say, okay, well, this little bit of meat is fine. This little bit of cheese is fine. This little bit of eggs is fine. They don't want to tell us the whole truth because they don't think we can handle it, which is unfortunate. I think people are smarter than that. And I think people do deserve to know the whole truth so they can make their own decisions. I mean, look at the Diet Coke ads. They come up and say, this isn't the healthiest. It's just a treat. I think that's incredible marketing because I agree. I would rather consume something knowing it's not the best for me, but knowing that and making that choice for myself because I'm an adult and saying, I do want just a little treat today. Why can't we do the same for meat and eggs and dairy? Why can't we do the same for plants? Why can't we be honest with people? So there you go. Your health tip for this week. I want you to try a new vegetable. Look up ways to cook it. Make sure you're cooking it the best way. If you fry up some okra or, blend something up, hide it in your food somehow. Squash and zucchini go really good in spaghetti. Just add a vegetable. Just eat one more vegetable this week. That's my goal for you, if you consent to it. Take it or leave it. Thanks, you guys. This has been w.a.v.e Wellness. V is for vegan. And we'll catch you on the next one.